We will now move to consideration of 107B. The chair recognizes Neil R. Sonnet of Florida, delegate of the Criminal Justice Section, for purposes of moving 107B.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the adoption of revised resolution 107C. B, I'm sorry.
107B, second.
Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I think the one that's up on the screen has territorial. I think originally there was a typo and it got left off, and I wanted to avoid the wrath of Bolt. So we should be fixed now. But this resolution addresses the corrupting influence that unlawful and improper intimidation can have on the testimony of witnesses, including victims, in criminal trials, and the reality that intimidation undermines the rule of law and the credibility of the judicial process. You'll note that the resolution uses the term unlawful intimidation. I was asked yesterday what kind of intimidation was lawful. The only thing I could think of was my cross-examination of some witnesses in criminal trials. But we've used the term unlawful to make sure that we are careful not to confuse what we are talking about and what we need to remedy with actions by individuals, by lawyers, or prosecutors that may cause somebody to believe they've been intimidated when in fact there's been nothing unlawful that's occurred. As the report points out, the targeting of victims and witnesses by individuals is nothing new. It goes back to the founding of this country, although in those days somebody would have to deliver it by hand or by mail. Now, with the advent of the telephone and with social media and smartphones, it's very easy to try to influence, intimidate, impact somebody from a great distance. There's an ever-expanding array of ways in which victims and witnesses can become intimidated. And that is what we are trying to fix. Resolution that we offer highlights the threat to the integrity of the criminal justice system as a result of unlawful victim and witness intimidation. Meaningful participation in the criminal justice system cannot exist adequately when victims and witnesses are too fearful to come forward or are afraid to tell the truth about what they know for fear that they are going to be intimidated or because they've been threatened. The prevention of witness intimidation requires renewed, dedicated focus and should be a high priority for all members of the criminal justice system. We therefore urge that you vote in favor of revised resolution 107B. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sonnet. The chair recognizes Bob Weeks of California, delegate from the Santa Clara Bar Association, to speak in favor of 107B. Mr. Weeks waves. The chair recognizes Professor Salzberg. Professor Salzberg waves. I have no further salmon slips with respect to 107B. Ms. Rogers, do you wish to be heard? The chair recognizes Ms. Rogers of Washington, D.C. Ms. Rogers.
I was supposed to have a salmon slip, and I apologize for the slip-up. This will be very brief. I just wanted to say, as so often happens, the individual rights section had some problems with the drafting of 107B, particularly the report, and I just want to commend the representatives of the criminal justice section for being reasonable and delightful to work with, and we don't always say that. Thank you.
Mr. Sonnet, you have the right to close. Mr. Sonnet waves. We will now proceed to a vote on 107B as revised, as shown on your screen. All in favor of adoption of 107B as revised, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. 107B as revised is adopted.